You know, I've come to slowly realize that momentum is actually the most important thing when it comes to business, when it comes to your personal life, when it just comes to everything. Now, I changed up the background a little bit, making it a little bit more urban rather than the grass fields that we've been used to, just trying it out. Anyways, I think momentum is the most important thing. Now, I run a seasonal business in Canada, so basically I'm into the home services type of industry, primarily specializing in window cleaning. And unfortunately, because of the snow that we get in Canada, I can only operate for around 4 to 5 months, right? I call it the universe has come, which is a key word for snow. Anyways, we get a lot of that universe come. And I just have to put as much output as I can in that 4 month to 5 month window. And what I realize is that I perform best when I have existing momentum. Now, I'm not saying that you actually can cultivate momentum from thin air. Because it's like in life, whatever you want, you have to actually make it happen for yourself. So you have to create your own momentum. But this has been one of the most volatile summers of my entire life. I'm not even kidding. One day, I'll wake up, I'll go to work at like 10 a.m. Alright, so the wind is almost knocking over the camera. But anyways, that's an example where a lack of momentum can throw you off a bit. Because I was just in a flow state speaking and this wind caught me off guard. But anyways, my point being is that I literally wake up and it's like 10 a.m., right? I can sleep in if I want. And I've had multiple summer days where I go to work at like 10:30 whenever I want. No one's telling me when to go because I'm on my own schedule. And I literally knock doors for 30 minutes to 1 hour. And I just clean windows of 2 houses. And it takes me about 4 hours in the field. And I just made $550. And then another client wants to book for another time. And then I go to the gym, I go to the sauna, I go to the steam. I chat to a nice girl at the gym. And I get a really good Chipotle for dinner. Maybe some ice cream at the local gelato shop. And I have 5 hours in the evening to do whatever the hell I want. So that's a good day. And then a bad day is I wake up the next day and I get in a mental rut because I don't like coming back here after traveling for so long. And I literally just wake up, beat my meat, watch some OnlyFans or online content for, I don't like to admit it, but like sometimes hours. And, feel like shit, eat like shit, go to Dairy Queen, get some ice cream, spend a bit of money. Go to the gym, go to the sauna, sit at the pool, do nothing, which is okay, but it's like, that's a bad day because just nothing went as planned. And those days happen up and down, up and down, up and down. And look, not to make excuses, but part of it is I don't have a vehicle to carry my stuff with me. So there's a huge logistical headache that comes along with me leaving the house every day to perform my business. And it's not an excuse because, I can always get my license and get a car, which I will do next year because I have 2 weeks left. But my point is that this is a huge example of momentum that just goes up and down, up and down. And when a day goes really good, it's much easier for me to, be consistent the next day. And when a day goes really bad, it's a bit of a challenge for me to continue. So it's like, whatever tone that I set for the day often determines the day after and the day after. And if I want to switch either way, I have to make a decision. It's extremely volatile. And my point is, guys, is that that's probably what you should be paying attention to. It's not, how disciplined I can be or how much willpower that I can exert to change a habit or make my circumstances better. Oftentimes, you should actually look at, how do I get this momentum going and how do I ride it? Because at the end of the day, being consistent is paramount to everything else. But being consistent is not just about having discipline every day. Because if you have discipline every day, like it's not realistic, because you're going to have days where you want to let loose, where you want to, where you're going to want to, eat some junk food. Like it's just going to happen. You have to satiate some urges that you have, some human urges. Right? You need to get your dopamine from somewhere, and it's not always going to be clean. You're going to have a day where you're going to want to do nothing, and that's totally fine. There's healthy ways to go about it, but my point is that you should always let the momentum, like you should almost treat the momentum like it's your life support, because it is. I mean, this goes with anything. It's like when you go to the gym once a week, like who cares? And this is just at first, right? Who cares? But you start going every day, maybe not every day, but 4 or 5 times a week. And you can gradually lower the amount that you go as you become more fit, as you start to garner more results. But it's like you're riding that momentum. And I think with men, this is a big thing too, because, we have a lot of testosterone within us. And I'm not saying women don't like to go outside and do stuff. Like, of course they do. But men, it's like with those urges, it's like we have to channel it into the real world, especially by exerting yourself physically, by having some sort of outlet to express yourself physically, creatively, emotionally. It just goes on. And honestly, momentum is going to be your biggest superpower. Like you look at IShowSpeed, right? They call it the butterfly effect. He got a donation. Like, I don't even watch the guy. I don't watch streaming. But I can admit, sometimes I'll see some clips of him and what he's doing, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of cool. He's traveling. But anyways, he got a £2 donation. What was your favorite football team? And then he just said Cristiano Ronaldo Sui or whatever. And look where he is now. Probably the biggest content creator in the world right now, or one of at least. I mean, he's the king of streaming, and this is just from riding that momentum. And it's like, guys, you have to preserve it. You have to be quite cautious with it, because when you start to go down in momentum a bit, I mean, if you've still put in the work before and you've built up a lot of habits, it's easier to bounce back. But it's like, put yourself in a position where you don't have to bounce back all the time. Develop a healthy relationship with momentum. Identify what sets you back, and just be aware of it. Be conscious of it. You have to realize, man, that's why people who hit rock bottom, not all the time, but a lot of times, that's why these people who hit rock bottom, they tend to grow the furthest. They tend to get catapulted by the setback, by being at the bottom, by being in hell. These people make such insane progress because they're at the complete bottom. And once they get one step of momentum, it just keeps compounding. Like, that's what happened in my case. I ran away from an abusive home environment. I had no money, pretty much no money at all. And I ended up partying, trying to get laid, trying to get some sort of satisfaction in my life at 20 years old, because I had none. I had absolutely nothing going for me. And so I just wasted my money, my time, my energy, my attention, and my life on drinking, on validation, on trying to get women. I just had no priorities in life. I was nothing. And I ended up homeless in the process. I had a heart attack before that, but I ended up homeless. I ended up sleeping in a bathroom stall on Christmas. In the Christmas holidays, I was sleeping in the bathroom stall at my gym, minus 30 outside. I was going to sleep in the sauna, but then I realized it's probably unsafe to sleep in a sauna for obvious reasons. So I had to sleep on the cold, hard toilet. I would be there the whole night. Of course, I would doze off, but I wasn't sleeping fully because it was so uncomfortable. And I would wake up at 6 a.m. I'd sit in the front of the gym and I'd just pass out. And, the owners at the gym would kind of be like, "Are you okay, man? Like, is everything okay?" And, well, I wasn't okay. But anyways, I ended up homeless. I lost everything. I lost my dignity. And look where I am now, traveling the world. Life is good. Saved a lot of money. Business is going well. Healthy as ever. mentally strong as well. Like the list just goes on. And people from the outside, not to brag or anything, but they often ask, like, how have you managed to do this? Like, how have you done this at 23? Like when I was 23, and people asking me sometimes for advice on stuff, and I tell them, it is what it is. But I don't think they also realize, and some of them perhaps have the idea or the assumption that it's been hell. It's been absolute hell to get to this point, and the momentum that's happened was just from being at the bottom. So take advantage of that too, because when you're at the bottom, you can actually make momentum tenfold. You can amplify it to the moon. But just be aware that momentum is the most powerful thing in business, in relationships. Like once you talk to one woman, say you have absolutely no idea how to talk to the opposite sex, okay? To people in general. You start, how you start? You start by walking out of the basement, passing by someone on the street, and smiling just like this. You know how to smile. You don't even have to look at them, you just do that. And then the next time, you nod. Next time you say hi. Next time you ask what's the time. And then next time you see a girl at the cashier, you just say, oh, I like your glasses, whatever. Then you build up from there, and then boom, boom, boom. It's simple. It's social momentum. Like the momentum goes with everything, and you have to just value it, guys. Put it as the number one priority for you. Momentum. That's the most important thing. None of this discipline, none of this willpower, none of this grind, monk mode. It all comes from momentum. These are all subcategories of momentum. It's like an umbrella, okay? Momentum is the main umbrella. The other subcategories include the discipline, all that stuff.